Hey everyone, let me introduce you to Franz. He's a co-author with me in the Heal to be Healed series.
Is the World Health Organization
Mhm.
states that at least 80% of the world suffers from PTSD, trauma, and so forth. But
Okay.
actually, I will state that 90% of the world has trauma, especially with the world that we live in right
Hey
now.
everyone, let me introduce you to Franz. He's a co-author with me in the Heal to be Healed series. Let me tell you a little bit about him. He is someone that is just a very Christian-based person. He's got so many different ideas that can help people be equipped to heal and get closer to the Savior. So I wanted to introduce him. Franz, thanks for coming to the Leveling Up podcast.
Thank you so much, Brigham. You are such a blessing for allowing us to be on your podcast, and you are a light for the world to see and to hear. And I thank you, and I want to thank God for allowing me to get well with everything that I've been through as far as my PTSD trauma that I've experienced in the military. I am retired of 20 years
Mhm.
of military service and just about 20 years of Department of Defense. And of course, I am a minister of the gospel of God. And I would like to collaborate with you and Tony on this book as with all the co-authors, because triggers is the key basic area after a person have received trauma, and this is very urgent and vital for their lives, because we as soldiers and retired military, we go through those triggers and hurts so daily, and we have to take medicines, and we have to find a way of mentally get ourselves on the right track with the social life that we live in with our families and everyone else. And that actually kills soldiers 22 per day, and that is in the that is listed. That's true fact stories. Um, so basically, triggers are the areas in life that we go through so many different things, such as fear, anger, severe anxiety, depression, guilt, nightmares, and flashback. All these things happens because we went through the trauma, and those things surface back not because we want to, is because certain things that we went through in life and during the process of the trauma, which is a PTSD, comes
Mhm.
to mind. Now we have the WHO, is the World Health Organization,
Mhm.
states that at least 80% of the world suffers from PTSD, trauma, and so forth. But
Okay.
actually, I will state that 90% of the world has trauma, especially with the world that we live in right now. So a lot of people do not know that they have trauma, and that triggers. Why do they have certain things like anger and so forth? And we can see a lot of that is happening today. A lot of people go around and using a gun to settle their peace of mind, and that's not the way. That's not the result. And we should go and seek help, whether it's to church, whether it's to somebody that you can confide in, or perhaps a medical center. And they have all this, and they can actually have people that just like you that have triggers and that can actually discuss those matters, and you can find help. So my story started impacting several military veterans as I had private physicians help me, and also my church as as a means, because it set my mind in a different way of thinking, because I'm not in the same area where I was when it first happened in the war at Desert Shield, Desert Storm. And at the same time, when I went to work for the Department of Defense, I was my trauma was triggered by lies that they trying to place on me because they did not want to promote me. So
Mhm.
therefore, there's many ways that, and that was several years ago, at least a decade later. So that is very important and very urgent that we should ensure that we get help.
Triggers is such an important thing to identify.
Yes,
And
sir.
when you recognize what things are triggering you, then you can say, you know what am I going to do to prevent that trigger from getting hit? Or you can say, I'm going to go and do the real work to rewire that trigger to go to something that you want. I think this is
Absolutely.
so important when we're talking about healing and having these types of conversations, is recognizing all of us have triggers. That's just us playing a program in our head, almost like a switch of the light. It's
Yes, sir. That's
what
well said.
happens after the trigger gets pressed or the light gets flipped that we can do, because we are responsible for our reactions. We are
Yes,
responsible for them. We
absolutely.
don't always have the opportunity to avoid triggers, though. And it will take therapy for some people. It will take medications for some people. A lot of the times I've found over the years that it takes recognizing that high level of awareness, what the trigger is, before you can even process why you got to where you're at. So, Franz,
Absolutely.
in your experience, what is the most significant thing that people can understand about triggers?
Triggers, it's something that, just as you have mentioned, we do not know that we have triggers. And my wife was the first one after 20 years of marriage. And she said, Francis, you have always been so cool, calm, and collective. But now it seems like, you fly off the handle, but I've never been abusive to her. But however, I will want to sit when we go to a restaurant or a movie theater where I'm close to the door, where I can observe everything that's going on.
Mhm.
And of course, I will not be as calm as I used to be. And when I go to bed, and I will have nightmares, and so many other things that triggers you, that whether is the thunder, the backfire, the car backfire. And I did not know that I had all this situation. But after my wife says, you need to go see a physician, go check the doctor. And the doctor sent me to a psychiatric person,
Mhm.
physician. And as soon as they asked me all these questions that we just talked about, the triggers, and this acknowledges, says, yes, sir, you do have PTSD, you do have triggers that shows that you have that traumatic symptoms, and we can help you. And they have gave me medication, just as you mentioned, so medication and so forth. And at the same time, like you mentioned, I am in ministry, so my pastor was able to help me set my mind in the proper setting,
Mm.
and shown and actually pray to God and saying, "Hey, look, I need your help." But
Yeah,
there's something that we as human beings we have to learn to manage to proper positive mindset.
love it. One of the things that pops top of mind for me when we're talking about triggers is it is our responsibility to figure out how we're going to respond once we know what a trigger is. Once we know, hey, this is a situation that gets me really anxious, like anxiety ridden, we have to figure out, well, am I going to always avoid that thing? Or am I going to figure out what's another way that I can respond to that stimulus? And you have to train it. You have to rewire your thought processes and create that imagination in your head. I love talking about how the imagination is a place. You have to go there in your head for a moment and rewire what that trigger means for you, because then you have options, because options is where freedom is. If you don't have options and if you have that trigger hit, you only have one path, that post-traumatic stress disorder that most of us have, like you said, 80+% of all of us have had those types of traumas. We are responsible for those after we know what they are. If we don't know what they are, man, that's why we need a physician. That's why we need to get the medication, get the help. But after that, man, we are responsible and we get to choose what's that option for us. Okay. What's the last thing that you wanted to bring up about triggers? I felt like you had one other point.
Absolutely, that's well said. Once you learn that and you get help and you have classes, where my private physician counseled me, and I had a nurse that every time I go, whether it's monthly or every 90 days, as a matter of fact, I've got one with them next Friday.
Mhm.
And excuse me, but the Veterans Administration, because I'm a veteran from the military.
Thank you
uh,
for your service, by the way. Appreciate you.
yes, sir, thank you so much for your support. And I went to the VA, and they have different classes that
Mhm.
show you exactly how to go about your life when those triggers points comes in, because your mind, and I wrote a book on that too. Um, which is Achieve Peace of Mind. Can Christian have PTSD? Yes, we all human beings. We all can have fear and have PTSD. So nobody's exempt from PTSD.
Yeah.
So so I just wanted to clear that up. But anyways, yes, we do need to go see somebody that can help you, whether it's a local physician or whether it's the VA if you are a veteran. And they are very thorough to those classes. And yes, they have several classes that can help you, several
Mhm.
classes, not just one
Right.
class. And you have many uh, veterans that were actually Vietnam veterans. That's over 40 years ago. That's actually because they did not know that that's why it was, because it was labeled so many different ways. Well, I don't want to go to detail with that. I have it written in my book, my PTSD book, and they have so many ways that you can actually go through. And it's very traumatic. It's very traumatic and very how will you say that, troublesome, for us not knowing as a nation that these things are what's causing our problem these
Mm.
days.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Franz. I think bringing awareness that
Yes,
80+% of us have some form of trauma that needs to be processed.
yes,
You might need to go see a therapist. We might need to go, if you're a first responder, and process what it means to get over those stimuluses that are really difficult triggers for you so that you can process them in a way that will be healthy. You create more options. So thank you for bringing that awareness to us. Where can people find a little bit more resources, just like our book, the Heal to Be Healed #2, It's Time to Thrive? Where can people find resources for this?
actually, anyone, excuse me, anyone can write to me at my at my send a note to me at my email address, Frantz Rolling Thunder at gmail.com, and I'll be
Excellent.
able to get you the information that you need.
Perfect. Well, guys, keep connecting with Franz. If you have been struggling with some of those types of triggers, definitely get the book Heal to Be Healed #2. It's Time to Thrive. It's going to be a wonderful opportunity for you to not only get connected to us, but to be able to see that there is help out there. I might not be the source for you, but I do know that I'll be able to point you to the right source.
I
And
just want to say one thing.
yeah, one more thing. Go ahead, Franz.
Just as you have mentioned, a lot of people, whether it was a child coming
Mhm.
from trauma, they do not know it. Just as you mentioned, the first responders, a person that's taking pictures at a crime scene, nurses, people from different walks of life comes to trauma and they do not even know it. That's the bad thing about it. And that's what I wanted to make sure that you're aware. People have trauma and they have those triggers that because of they may be fatigued, tired, but yet they have to do a work. They have a job to do, but yet they have those triggers that pops up, and that really that's the killer right there.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. Triggers really are something that everyone will have. We have stimulus that trigger us to do certain things.
Yes, sir.
It's our responsibility to figure out where does that trigger send that pattern? Where does that program go? Because if we are not going to be intentional about it, it can lead to some really destructive, dark things. But
For
if we're
sure.
intentional about it, we can rewire, reroute, and make some wonderful things happen. And one of the biggest ways I've done that is by connecting with Heavenly Father and Christ. It is
Yes,
so
sir.
important. And I know that you've done that the same, and we want to make sure we're pointing to Him in all things.
Yes,
So
sir.
thanks again. I'll put
Thank you so
just,
much. You're a blessing, Brigham.
I
And
appreciate you so much.
no, you definitely are. I'm not saying just to be saying you are a blessing to the world at large, internationally, and by having that leveling up, and that's well said. I love that leveling up. So you're looking up, not down. Yes, sir. And I just love it. Thank you again for the opportunity to share that. Maybe that will be able to help someone out there.
Absolutely. I'm sure it will. Thank you so much, Franz. God
Thank
bless,
you so
guys.
much. God bless. Thank you.